Today, in American politics, something serious just happened in Washington, and it's raising big questions about who actually controls war in the United States. Both chambers of Congress just voted on whether to limit the military authority of Donald Trump as the conflict with Iran continues to escalate, and both efforts failed. In the House of Representatives, lawmakers narrowly rejected a resolution that would have forced the administration to stop military action against Iran unless Congress approved it. Just a day earlier, the Senate rejected a similar measure as well. In simple terms, the United States is now involved in an expanding conflict, and Congress just chose not to step in to stop it. That decision has triggered criticism across the political spectrum because the Constitution gives Congress the power to declare war, yet in modern politics, presidents often begin military actions first, while lawmakers debate it afterward. Critics say that shows a serious breakdown in accountability. The conflict itself began after U.S. and Israeli forces launched strikes on Iranian targets, and since then, retaliation across the region has followed with missiles, drones, and rising tensions. Casualties have been reported, and multiple countries in the region are now watching the situation closely as the risk of a wider conflict grows. Despite the seriousness of the situation, one of the biggest criticisms from lawmakers is that the overall goals of the war still aren't clear. Some officials say the purpose is preventing nuclear development. Others argue it's about limiting Iranian influence in the Middle East, and some even suggest it could pressure leadership in Iran itself. But the administration has not provided one consistent explanation, and that uncertainty is exactly what critics say makes the situation dangerous. When countries enter conflicts without clear objectives, history shows those wars often drag on much longer than expected. Another major issue fueling controversy is how the military campaign started. According to several lawmakers, the president did not formally ask Congress for authorization before the strikes began. That's why the War Powers Resolution was introduced in the first place. The idea behind it was simple: force the administration to come to Congress and explain the strategy before continuing the conflict. Instead, the resolution failed, largely along party lines. Republican leaders argued that limiting presidential authority during an active conflict could weaken the United States and signal division to adversaries. Many Democrats argued the opposite, saying that allowing military action to continue without congressional approval sets a dangerous precedent for future presidents. In other words, the debate isn't just about Iran. It's about whether Congress still has meaningful control over decisions of war and peace. Some lawmakers are now warning that Congress is slowly losing its authority when it comes to military decisions. Looking at history, it's not hard to see why that concern exists. Over the past few decades, presidents from both parties have launched military operations without formal declarations of war. Congress debates it afterward, sometimes criticizes it, but rarely stops it once it begins. That pattern is repeating again today. Outside Washington, frustration is also growing. Anti-war groups and activists have started organizing protests and demanding lawmakers block funding for the conflict. Their argument is straightforward. If Congress truly disagrees with the war, they should refuse to finance it. But historically, that rarely happens because once a military operation starts, it becomes politically difficult to reverse course. Troops are already deployed, allies are involved, and political leaders often worry about appearing weak if they pull back too quickly. That dynamic has kept many conflicts going long after public support began to fade. The bigger issue now is trust. Many Americans already believe political leaders operate in a completely different reality from the people they represent. Economic pressures continue at home, political division is growing, and trust in government institutions has fallen for years. Watching another conflict unfold without clear debate only deepens that frustration. Critics say it reinforces the idea that Washington reacts to crises instead of preventing them. Even some lawmakers who voted against the resolution admitted they wished Congress had been more involved earlier in the decision-making process. But by the time Congress debates these issues, the conflict has already begun. Troops are deployed, strategies are in motion, and reversing the decision becomes far more complicated. Historians often point out that the most important moment to debate war is before it begins, not after it starts. Right now, the U.S. political system seems to struggle with that basic principle. Instead of careful planning and unified leadership, decisions